I call this meeting to order. It is Tuesday, May 2nd, and it is 4:45, and we are the Duluth Public Schools ISD 709. This is our committee of the whole meeting. We meet once a month, and it is informational, presentational. There are no action items. The board does not vote during this meeting. It is an opportunity to share with board members, with our community, important topics coming forward before the district. And a lot of the stuff that we talk about tonight might very well turn into an action item as we move into our school board meeting at the end of the month. So again, welcome to Duluth Public Schools Committee of the Whole meeting. I'll turn to Member Zadowski, Clerk Zadowski, and she'll take roll. Or, yes.
All right, Member Eater is excused. Member Kirby?
Here.
Member Lawson-Kemp? Here. Member Lefall?
Here.
Member Oswald? Here. I am here. Member Sandholm?
Present.
Superintendent Banks?
Present.
Assistant Superintendent Bonds?
Present.
Deputy Clerk Zulich?
She's present.
Yes.
Oh, did you call my name? Sorry.
I'm present. I saw you there. HR Director Severance? Now that this one? Excused. Yep. And that's all.
Okay, so again, I'm going to turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Bonds. He has been our leader for our committee of the whole. We know that the agenda is robust tonight, so I will also be kind of monitoring time as well and encouraging all of us to keep it moving so that we can work on all of this. So, Superintendent Bonds.
Thank
Assistant
you.
Superintendent. I always want to promote you.
Thank you, Chair Lofo, and welcome everyone. And Chair Lofo is correct. We have a robust agenda here, so we're going to jump right into our presentations. Our first presentation will be done by the Education Equity Advisory Committee. Denise Washington is here to lead that conversation, so I'll turn it over to Denise.
Just kidding. No, thank you. We are actually a subcommittee. We're the Indigenous Language, Culture, Education, Revitalization, multiple. We're going to shorten it. But first of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be in front of you all tonight. What we are doing as a committee here tonight is to share a little bit of information on the history of and the state of Ojibwe language in Duluth Public Schools. And so I was hoping we would have had the presentation that we have for you all tonight in the packet, but we don't. I do have a few paper copies if you all would like. I don't know if we have enough for everyone. Oh, here's another one.
And also a letter that we had drafted as a committee.
Yep. So we'll just jump right into our presentation. But first of all, I'd like to introduce our subcommittee of EAC, and we'll start right here.
Nami Goisi Coalition Across the Gifted to Education Becoming and Jugama Sabikam Data Public Schools. And again, you can log in to the one nation, one niche. My name is Nami Goisi Kwe. My English name is Diana Lari, and I teach Ojibwe 1 and 2 this year in our school.
Ujuginawan Insa Gagi Diana Fatikwe, Dilu Visuin Dudana Shikizibing Yuchibat. My name is Gagi Diana Fatikwe, and I work for the Masabakam Ojibwe Language Immersion Program. Currently teaching first and second grade. My name is Shake House. I am the kindergarten first grade teacher at the Saudi.
Hi, I'm Brenda Philippine, and I am a religion special teacher working for MacArthur doing home visits for 2 years. East I work
you. My name is Adekun, and I am grade 3-4 teacher in the topic.
Nate Smith. I know many of you, all of you. I facilitate the EAC as a whole. These are our subcommittee facilitators. My name is nice to meet you again.
Alright, do you have our timer set? Okay. We have a timer. Alright, so just real quick, language is the fiber that binds us to our cultural identity, just a reminder. So first what I'd like to go into are some of our federal and state laws, statutes that support Indigenous language and Indigenous students. We have the Native American Language Act of 1990. We have our Title VI, which funds a portion of Indian education. And then we have our American Indian Education Aid through the state of Minnesota. And through all of those, they talk about supporting Indigenous language for students in public education in public schools. So with NALA, that's like the big one. It's a federal law that really states a lot of information on supporting Indigenous languages, such as it's a policy of the United States to preserve, protect, and promote the rights and freedoms of Native Americans to use, practice, and develop Native American languages. So within your packet, I mean, there's like 8 or 9 different points, and due to our time frame, and we want to make sure that we get through all of our information today. I'm not going to read every single one, but there are some major points in there that I think would be beneficial for y'all to take some time later on and read through. And if there are any further questions, we are always willing to come back to be in front of you all to answer any of those questions. But I do want to share, like, there is a point 8 where it says, it is a policy of the United States to encourage all institutions of elementary, secondary, and higher education where appropriate to include Native American languages in the curriculum in the same manner as foreign languages, and to grant proficiency in Native American languages the same full academic credit as proficiency in foreign languages. So this is just to kind of give you an idea of, like, these are the things that we fall back on when it comes to our language in public institutions. We have these backing us up in order to support the things that we want to move forward in doing in regards to Indigenous languages in public school.
Yep, I'll help you. Great slide. So in order for us to fully understand Ojibwe language revitalization and how it impacts the public schools, we must first look at the statistics. So in a recent study by UCLA nationwide, an average of 51% of American Indian and Alaska Native students graduated from high school compared to 80% of white students. Next slide. And compared to our own district statistics from last year, 2022, 43.59% of American Indian seniors graduated as a district compared to 76.66% of an overall graduation rate of all students. So when looking at ways to address these inequities, a more recent model of education has emerged, named Indigenous language immersion. Students learn academic subject matters, so including math, literacy, science, social studies, all the other subjects like music, through Native American languages within a culturally based curriculum. This model aims to raise the academic achievement rates for American Indian students, while also helping revitalize Indigenous languages and pass them on to younger generations. It also helps students learn their own cultural and personal identity and enrich others about different languages and cultures. Next slide. Since school is such an important part of every student's day and a big impact on their life, it's important that we recognize that Indigenous language revitalization can have a positive impact on education for American Indian and Alaska Native students. We can work to revive culture, language, inequities, positive student identity, and academic success utilizing this model. Next slide. So I wanted to note the difference between the two programs that are represented with some of us here. So, the Sabakong Ojibwe Language Immersion Program and middle and high school language classes, there's a difference in the way that they're taught. In Masabakong, all academic subjects are taught entirely in the Ojibwe language through a culturally focused curriculum. So teachers and students are all speaking Ojibwe to each other. For middle and high school language classes, grammar and Ojibwe language arts is taught primarily through English, but immersion can be utilized for activities. But we recognize the importance of both so that students moving past our current grades in Masabakong will have an opportunity to learn Ojibwe. So these two slides.
Okay, yep. And so, some of you are very familiar, in the history of Masabekong. It was myself, first language speakers. We had a ton of community members, families supporting us when we first presented, to the school board to say, hey, if we're gonna start, providing an immersion, opportunity for our students in Duluth public schools, why not start with Ojibwe, considering, history, and land ownership. So we did start with Ojibwe. We did the presentation. We were able to open in 2014. Some of you know that it was a really quick turnaround. It was like, all right, we give your presentation to the school board. We'll see what they have to say. I think that was in the spring, and they said by fall you can start your kindergarten class. That was a quick turnaround, and I was excited, and I was, we did everything we possibly could to open our doors in 2014, and we were able to have one of the best language teachers in the area be our lead teacher. We had an assistant, but one of the concerns that we want to bring up later on is like how quick we had to start, and we didn't have time for a lot of curriculum development, so we're kind of behind still, even though we've been here for 9 years. Compared to Nueva Vision, who had like a year and a half to get their program started. So that's just something that I wanted to share with you all as far as some of that history. Like I said, we opened our doors in the fall of 2014, and since then we've reached approximately 100 students through our immersion program. One of the things that we realized having an Ojibwe immersion program within Duluth Public Schools is we had to look at some of the policies and procedures and how they did not reach the needs of our students and our families. And so we were able to work on a tobacco policy. Within that, we have our smudging protocols. We work closely with Dave when he was here, with the city of Duluth and the fire department as far as like when we want to boil our sap to make syrup or process our rice, able to have a fire on site. We have an extensive list of things that we have to make sure that we follow in order to have a fire. But those are some of the things that we've had to do and had to change within Duluth Public Schools policies in order to fit what we do culturally as Ojibwe Club. Also, looking at days away for, cultural activities or even bereavement. A lot of times, I know some of you know this, our funerals aren't a one-day thing. They can last like 4 to 8 days, depending on, where you're traveling to. So those are some things that also have to be considered within our community. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So Ojibwe language is a severely endangered language. The number of first language speakers still alive is actually rapidly declining, and we work to connect with and preserve language from these first language speakers. But there's a struggle to reconnect this with the younger generations to get them speaking Ojibwe. So Ojibwe language immersion programs are a way to reinvigorate language and cultural practices intergenerationally. So we have a lot of parents and families that are active. They love to be involved. Some parents of our students have actually stayed on as paras, and one of them took on the challenge to become a teacher themselves and recently graduated.
Oh, side note, Sarah, who is our Sarah the para, she is a parent of a student that has been in Sunday school since kindergarten. So part of what we try to do is the grow your own model that you often hear within Duluth public schools.
Yes. So there's several benefits to Ojibwe language immersion. It not only helps revitalize the Ojibwe language, but demonstrates high academic achievement because students are learning those academic skills through our cultural activities. We work to produce high quality learning and educational opportunities for our students. The students also attend English language classes daily starting in 3rd grade, so they emerge as multilingual and multiliterate students. We have seen high academic performance from students in both languages. Next slide. And we've also seen positive impacts on students attending our immersion program. There's an increased positive attitude and motivation towards learning. These students learn to work through and embrace this challenge of speaking Ojibwe, and through this, they actually learn to take on new challenges because they realize, wow, I can really do this. So that attitude is awesome. And since we teach them through cultural activities, they're ready and motivated to come to school every day and really excited to learn what we have to teach. And we've seen a lot of successes and had a lot of positive feedbacks, not only from families, but other Ojibwe immersion programs and Ojibwe language programs within the Midwest and in Ojibwe language country. We see really strong commitments from families to get them to school every day, making sure that they're practicing English language at home. And we often have our older students with higher language proficiency go into the younger classrooms and read to them, help them learn reading and literacy strategies. So there's a great sense of community within our classrooms and program. And this is all while we teach through the Ojibwe cultural values of respect, listening, and kindness, which is built into our language. So one important thing I wanted to touch on is what Ojibwe language immersion curriculum requires. It's a lot of work in different areas. Our immersion program is different than other immersion programs because we do not have curriculum readily available for us. Such as Spanish immersion programs, they have their Wonders book, they have their math expressions workbooks, they have their teacher manuals, all available and translated for them. But for us, we actually have to work to develop curriculum in all those different academic subjects while also learning the Ojibwe language ourselves as second language speakers. And so our focus at Masabakan is developing culturally focused curriculum which implements the academic standards. It's including, but not limited to, scope and sequence for each grade level, fluency books in all the different subject areas such as fiction and nonfiction, comprehension worksheets, graphic art that goes with those books and activities, stations, assessments, teacher manuals, cultural activities, online activities so students are getting equitable access to technology, classroom workbooks, posters, and more. And it requires research and effective work to develop Ojibwe language art standards, understanding the science of literacy while also knowing the grammatical structure of Ojibwe. We take high importance to respectfully integrate first language speakers and their knowledge into the classroom and curriculum, so we work towards classroom visits, videos, and integration of their knowledge. And that's just a brief overview of our curriculum and some of our needs.
All right, so I'm going to zip through middle school and high school. So this is a model that most of you are more familiar with because we follow like a Spanish or German class. We work on the actual standards. A lot of it is done in English, and then we move them into speaking more and more of Ojibwe. But one of the reasons that it's important is it helps student identity development for the Ojibwe student or the Indigenous student to see themselves reflected in the classroom and in the curriculum and learn something that's actually relevant to their life. It increases multicultural awareness and multicultural fluency. My class has traditionally, I've taught language in various levels for almost 10 years in our district here. And my classes are traditionally about 60-40. So there's about 40% of my students that are non-native. And they take the class because they're interested in the history of this place, because they have friends, or because maybe they have some other connection. One of my students now went to Lowell and saw the immersion program and was exposed to that culture and the language and wanted to continue that, and he's moving into to be a level 3 next year. It increases school engagement. revitalization, I tell all of my students, this is a huge career opportunity. If you are good at the language and you're interested in learning this, there is a huge gap in our market for language teachers. And then an opportunity to earn college credit at level 3. Other languages are doing college credits at level 5. We are starting ours at level 3 with Tribal and Community College. So if the student continues to level 3, they have the equivalent of 1 full college year and they'll get credit for that. Some of the history, we've got a rocky history in Duluth Public Schools. Our classes being canceled at the last minute because of low enrollment, while other classes very similar to ours with low enrollment are allowed to continue. In the letter, some of that stuff is more detailed. I'm not going to go into a lot of it because you all will have access to this data. Right now, my position is funded through OEE. This is the last of the 3-year plan. There's another 3-year plan coming up. But for the past 3 years, we had to do the COVID deal. And then last year, we ended up at the last minute switching our model to teach 6 classes at 4 schools with me. So it was a lot of back and forth, and it was a mess for the students. We lost a lot of students because of that, not being able to build those relationships because it was too much back and forth. This year, we ended up at the last minute again being all online, and students signed up for an in-person class, and a week before school started, it's like, oh no, we're going to be online. So we lost about half the students that enrolled because they didn't know how to make the online transition. Like, logistically, what do we do to do this? We did pull in a few extra students. I did some marketing at the beginning of the year, so we pulled in a few students that weren't taking it otherwise. So it's been challenging to keep the program going, and consistently it's been, well, you don't have enough students, so we're not going to fund the program. Well, the reason students aren't taking it is because the history is that you sign up for it and it gets canceled, or it's not there, or there's no teacher, or my counselor said I shouldn't take it because it's not going to matter, or my counselor says this class has been canceled when it hasn't, and puts them into a Spanish program without them asking for it. So there's a lot of other things that are going on here that we're working through, but I wanted for us to be, to see some of the things that are happening behind the scenes with our other things happening in our district. So this is our enrollment numbers. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but where we are right now is all of our classes next year are assigned to be online through the funding from OEE. It's built into that program. The reason that we can get it into that A&I funding is the target audience of American Indian students being engaged in school and taking that that rigorous CITS course. But what's happening is by putting it online, we are, de facto excluding the students that we're actually trying to read because the process of actually getting to that online class, you don't just go to your counselor and say, I want to take this class. That's step 1. Then you have to go to the AEO site and do that whole thing. You have to have a parent who can understand the system, who is willing to be your mentor and follow you through that. That's part of the agreement with any AEO course. And we have technology access. We have the difficulty in building a relationship. Some of our students are in that protected population that are hard to reach, and they need that person-to-person, communication and that relationship building, which is really hard to do online. I do go to the schools at least once a week to the high schools and meet with my students regularly. So I do try to build those relationships. And some of these students have been with me for a couple of years, so I built that with them. But new students coming in that I haven't had a chance to meet in person, it's like, hi, so-and-so, and I, give them their comments and they comment back sometimes. But, as you all know, as being educators, it's not the same as being in class with somebody. So that's what we're looking at for next year. Oh, but I do want to say this right away. I did go to the MIEA last week and advertised our class because through an AEO program, it's eligible to any public or charter school student in the state of Minnesota. And I did get a lot of interest in other districts perhaps using our program for their American Indian students. So that is something where that part of the program might actually grow. This is what I just went through. And so here's our numbers for next year. Right now we have a total of 42 students in all levels. The students at Denfeld tend to be more interested in the class, but perform not as well. The students on the east side are maybe not as many students in the class, but they're high flyers and they just go right through. All my level 3s this year are going to be coming from east that were my own dean kids 2 years ago. So being in person at Denfeld is going to be important to build those relationships. All right.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was
I was
Nate.
going next.
So, as a committee, we came up with a list of things, what equity should look like for Ojibwe language programs within ISD 709. We are a district that we are focusing on equity, and by us sharing the history of not only Massabican, but the state of Ojibwe language at middle school and high school, and we just want to make sure that as a committee, moving forward, as a district, we understand that we're looking at equity to lead us through our strategic plan, through all of those things. And so we wanted to make sure that we got in front of you all, so you all understood like what equity looks like for us within Ojibwe language programs. Definitely a financial commitment from Duluth Public Schools to continue to fund Massabican in the high school language program, regardless of enrollment, regardless of numbers. Previously, we've heard, there are other foreign language classes at the high school that were funded, completely funded, with low numbers, 5, 6, maybe 8 students in there. When we come up with 8 or 10 students, no, can't be funded. You don't have enough students. So we want to make sure that there's equity when we're looking at funding for language for our students. Massabican will have funding for a minimum of 4 teachers each year, or the necessary number to accommodate effective learning at each grade level K through 5. I did a data dig to look at what our classroom sizes look K through 5 across the district. We're getting questioned with having 13 to 14 students within our classrooms that are split. I understand, because of our low numbers, we need to have split classrooms. But there are other schools in the district that have 13 or 14 or 16 kids within their elementary classroom. So I hope that gets looked at, in the future when we're getting allocations set by set. The high school program will have funding for a minimum of 2 teachers each year, or the necessary number to accommodate effective learning at each language level. We understand right now it's at AAO, and a lot of our students don't learn language well that way. And if we're looking at our American Indian students, we all know the data. I'm not going to go there because I'm just not. But this is a strategy to keep our kids engaged. I was in a meeting earlier, and we were talking about engagement for our students. This is one way to keep our American Indian students engaged. This is a way to keep them engaged in hopes that eventually they will graduate within the 4-year mark. Because our data does show that our American Indian students graduate within 6, 7 years. Also, the state of Minnesota, which is the state Indian education funding that I get, I used to use some of that money to pay our Massabican teachers hours for curriculum development. I was told that is no longer okay, because if the district supports an Ojibwe language immersion program and there's no curriculum, the district should support the curriculum, because with Nueva Visión, who's buying their curriculum? The school district. Within Massabican, we're creating our curriculum, but my department is paying them hours for curriculum development. That's not equitable. That's not the way it should work. If the school district if this is a school district program, the school district should be supporting that. And I'm not saying that it's not, because we've made some movement this year, but we still have a lot of hours that still need to be covered for curriculum development. So we want to make sure that our teachers are eligible for additional pay to make sure that appropriate curriculum is developed for our students. We want to make sure that we have administrative and financial support for alternative teaching licensing pathways to ensure adequate qualified teaching staff. Support to effectively post available positions. I feel like this year they did a really good job posting for a position in the fall. Minus the fact that I had to email them twice and say, can we please take Spanish language out of there and put Ojibwe? So I don't know if they were just cutting and pasting and putting it and posting it, but it's kind of embarrassing when people are emailing and saying, are you really posting for a Spanish teacher for the Sabecon or what's going on? And I'm thinking, what are y'all talking about? So I looked and I had to email HR twice saying, can you please take Spanish and put Ojibwe in there? And then making sure that we have administrative and financial support to provide for elders in the classroom. Some of you know, our first language speakers, they're elders. That's who we want in our classrooms in front of our students. Those are who we want in front of our teachers to help them with language acquisition as well. Any questions? How much time do we have? 1 minute.
Yeah.
And as basically said, we'd be willing to come back another time if we don't have budget for questions right now. If there's anything that comes up between the letter, which we did not go over together, and the presentation, we'd be happy to come back and have another discussion.
I'm not even gonna ask questions with a minute left. This is a lot of information and just a lot of great information, and I thank you all for coming and sharing and meeting all of you too and seeing the support and the the program and how we're going forward. And the meat of our questions probably come near the end where you are lifting up the needs of your program, and that's where the board can come in. But that would be a time for us to have a work session or to invite you back for a real deep dive, not a presentation again at COW, but a deep dive into our desire to vision forward with our Ojibwe immersion.
And that's kind of like what we envisioned.
That's what
Big
we
picture was like bringing
Yep.
information, take time to develop that relationship with you all, so we feel comfortable, you all feel comfortable inviting us back to share and talk deeper about the state of Ojibwe.
Member Oswald?
I just have a process question about when we're talking about small class sizes, the point you validly made. Being that the immersion schools are like their own school within a school, who makes the site-based decisions for funding and what classes get eliminated or cut or supported? Because I know referring to MacArthur has very small class sizes, but because they choose to use some of their extra funding to lower those class sizes and things. So I'm not exactly sure how to compare that with both class sizes getting cut for immersion programs. So do you get what I'm saying? And
I do.
Comment on that.
I'll answer the first part is
Yeah.
we have been striving to be really transparent regarding budgeting and staffing. So what we've done this year is made sure we are meeting with building principals, with HR, finance, the director, either of elementary ed or secondary ed, myself included, having discussions related to enrollments and requests. So we take a hard look at the data that says how many students we have. We talk about special programs such as Spanish and Sabecon. So we make sure we are having those discussions, and we make some decisions on class sizes based on enrollment. And in this case, because we do value Ojibwe and language, we have made investments in that area to support the program, even when the numbers are small. So that's one in terms of who's making those decisions, so it's done in collaboration. But we are always looking at enrollments across the district, whether it's elementary schools or our middle schools and high schools. We know in our district, most often our middle schools and high schools tend to have larger class sizes. Some of the schools who happen to be on the east side, some of those class sizes, because of capacity, are larger because of the lack of space to even reduce them. Even if we had the resources to make the reductions, some of our east side schools wouldn't be able to add those classes because of a lack of rooms and space. So sometimes those class sizes might be larger. You're correct. In the data does show us that there's some schools that they have smaller class sizes, and in most of those situations, the vast majority of those situations, is because those schools also have additional resources coming with it. Some of the schools have Title I or comp ed dollars. Those Title I dollars and comp ed dollars allow class size reductions. So building principal can make some decisions to reduce class sizes using those dollars, and then we'll make those enrollments go down. But they're accurate. Some of those class sizes are, we know there's classes of 13 to 17, so they're wide ranging, but most of those sites with small class sizes have comp ed dollars or Title I dollars connected to it.
Just a follow-up question then, knowing that they have extra resources to pull from, basically, how does your office offer any extra support? Should you not have to pay for curriculum and that kind of thing? Would your office support the Ojibwe Immersion Program as a source of extra funding to accomplish some of these things, or is that are you saying there's a hard line there that your budget's not for that?
My budget is not to supplant anything. And I just want to openly tell you all, since we opened up in 2014, out of those 9 years, 2 of those years, 1 year I applied for a grant to pay for a coordinator. The other year, I think it was another grant. But for 7 years, my department funds my position, and I've been overseeing and supporting Wasabi County for all those years. Our department also pays for the para position, 1.5, one of them, and then OE pays for 1.5. So we do support it, but when it comes to the curriculum writing, it just at that state level, and they've seen it through other immersion programs within the state, saying, why are you using our funding to develop curriculum if this is a district program? The district should be paying for those things and supporting it as it would other district programs.
And to speak on the curriculum, I'll call on Superintendent Mag, is when it comes to curriculum, one of the things that we have been able to do in the last couple of years is we have provided additional resources to develop curriculum during the summer, time to ensure that they're having the resources they need to develop that curriculum. So I just wanted to make sure that was made aware. Superintendent Magazine, Member Hall.
And I'd just like to reiterate that offer that we've made several times when we've had Wasabi to visit, that we would very much be interested in funding as much curriculum development as reasonable. And by reasonable, I want it to be broad and well supported. I know we talked a little bit about maybe having a, potentially like a summer curriculum writing institute, bringing people in, and I know sometimes some things like that can be challenging, but I, as an educator, I believe in this, and as superintendent, but also my master's degree is in dual language, and I believe that learning 2 languages or more, especially when it's a heritage language, is really, really important for just mental development, but also for just respect for the culture and being able to keep the language alive. So I want to speak on behalf of the district and say that this is something that we're committed to.
My comment is brief, but just again, thank you all for coming. I think I'm the only board member that was here for your presentation back in 2013 or 14, and I was very proud to have a board that voted in support of getting this going. We've done a lot in a very short amount of time, and just really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do have, I don't know, Jane, but we have money in our curriculum budget for the summer, free writers at 60 hours a week, so we don't know about that.
I think I filled out a form because I heard about it from somebody else, so I just filled it out hoping that it would get.
It's on there.
Yeah,
You're on there.
okay.
Good deal, and I think
So
we're ready
thank you.
to,
Yes,
to
thank
move,
you.
but again,
Thank you.
this was meant as an introduction. There's a deep dive into budget and looking at the monies and seeing what we've got in enrollment and all of that, so we'll be visiting again.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next presentation will be done by Dr. Lake and her team. They are here to discuss and provide an update related to our Check and Connect program. As we do a transition, Check and Connect is one of our key programs that we are offering in our middle school and high school. It's a mentoring program that students are provided. It is a program that is designed to engage students, to increase attendance, and also improve graduation rates, especially for student groups who with disproportionate outcomes. So it's meant for students with special needs, African American, American Indian students. That's the targeted groups of students in this program is meant for. Which this team is going to be able to provide a lot of information on. We are back on. We are recording. So welcome back. We've had some technical difficulties, so just wanted to acknowledge that in case you see interruptions in the video. We've been dealing with some technical difficulties that we've been able to take care of. And as I indicated, the next presentation is done by Dr. Lake, who is here to give us a status update related to Check and Connect, and I'll turn over to her to introduce the team that she has here.
All right, yeah, we have quite a group here today, so I'm excited about that. As Mr. Ron said, I'm Tanya Lake, I'm the Director of Assessment and Evaluation. I also provide the administrative oversight to Check and Connect program district-wide. Today, we have students, we have families, we have staff. So kind of how we're gonna work this is, I'm just gonna give a quick overview of the program and it'll be quick. So we definitely will have enough time to hear from students, staff, and families, and then give you an opportunity to ask some questions as well. So just as a piece of background, Check and Connect is a dropout prevention program that really seeks to intervene with students when they're starting to show any signs of disengagement. The reason why it's called Check and Connect is mentors really monitor our students' performance very closely, and then connect closely, also providing personalized and timely interventions. It's also considered a family-school partnership type of intervention. That's a big piece of the program. And if you want to know more about the specifics, I've linked in the web information for the University of Minnesota where the program is come from. And how we ended up getting it in the Duluth Public Schools, the Department of Education at the federal level really tasked our states across the country to develop a multi-year plan to help improve graduation rates, specifically with children who are Black or American Indian and also have disabilities. So Minnesota jumped on board with that. They looked at the data across the state, and Duluth was identified as one of the school districts to partner with, because we accounted for approximately 30% of that population across the state. So we began that partnership with MDP. We worked really hard to determine an evidence-based strategy that would improve our graduation rates. Jason Crane, who's here today too, was a huge part of bringing that program into our district at that time. So I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that. And we looked really hard at all of the various things that are out there, and Check and Connect really is the only program that the U.S. Department of Ed has identified through their research reviews as one that has strong and positive outcomes for reducing dropouts. So that's how it started. Just a quick where we've been. We started slow and small. We started out at Denfeld High School. Like I said, we worked very closely with Minnesota Department of Education and worked really hard to build that infrastructure. So I've attached, we have a capacity assessment that we take every year. We continue to build our infrastructure and processes so that we can make sure that we're implementing the program well. So so that we'll get those results. At that time, the program was focused only on that targeted group, which was our Black children, American Indian children, and those who are either Black or American Indian and also have disability. We saw some really great improvements in rates over that time at Dental with that particular group, and I linked that to the end of the presentation under program highlights. We wrapped up that grant. The funding went through spring of 2021. We sought external funding and then began planning for a program expansion across the entire district. Sarah will introduce herself and you'll get to meet her in a minute, but she played a really integral role in bringing the funding into the district to expand Checking Connect. So we were able to expand it not just to Denfeld, but to all of our secondary schools, both of our middle schools, both of our high schools, and then later at our Duluth Area Learning Center. We modified the job description a bit from when we first started because as a result of the pandemic, there were some increased needs, and we wanted to make sure that we had the highest quality staff and that the staff that we had would be able to maintain their relationships with students for Checking Connect says 2 years. And we needed to have positions that were going to be sustainable and constant with the groups of students. Looking at where we are as a program now, there's just some fun facts about the number of students that we're serving, the number of schools. I think the two things I just wanted to highlight on that is our decrease in absences. Students in the program, 55% reduction in absences and a 44% reduction in suspensions. So what we're doing is definitely having a positive impact when we look at from a numbers perspective, but more importantly, you'll hear from the students and you'll hear from the families and how it's impacted their lives. The next two slides you can take a look at, at your leisure, but the first slide is just our graduation rates, just a history of our graduation rates with our schools that are implementing Checking Connect. We didn't start the expanded program until second semester of last year, so we're really feeling pretty good about seeing the improvements that we did in that shorter period of time, and know that those improvements will only continue, as long as we have the program anyway. The next slide just looks at our district overall, our history of graduation rates. We look at our various student groups. So that's just some background for you. And then where we're headed, we really want to continue to focus on the things that are working. Our partnership with MDE has been really helpful overall. And we want to make sure that we're able to provide some good ongoing professional development for our mentors and make sure that we're delivering the intervention the way it was intended. Because that is the way that we will get those continued outcomes. Also, what we started as a smaller program, like I said, just at Denfeld High School. At that time, the district leadership team really was the leadership team with the school. Now that we're expanding across 5 different sites, we're really transitioning more from that district-driven leadership and releasing it more to the site. So they're really working on developing their teams and their structures and taking that on while still at the district level maintaining some alignment and consistency across them. And then we're also we're working on continuing to provide and really increasing our training and support and using data to identify students, also to measure progress as we go, both at the student level and at the program level. So those are a quick snapshot of where we've been, where we are, and where we're headed. And I'm going to turn it over to Sarah for probably the reason we're all here, right? The most important piece for the students. So,
Right. Thank you. I'm Sarah Molinan, and I am the district-wide Checking Connect coordinator. This is my 5th year as the coordinator. And what we're going to do today is we have 2 different teams of students, families, counselors here, one from Denfeld and one from East. I'm actually going to introduce all of them first, just given the sitting situation. And then we have some questions to the students, and some questions to the counselor. And when we're done, if you guys have any other further questions,
I'm gonna ask them. So, Denville team, will you stand up first? Over there, Denville Principal Tom Tuscan, Check and Connect Mentor, Cassandra Victor. We have Counselor Jerry Sari, and right next to me, we have Denasia. East team, along with mom team. We have Counselor Elena Abrahamson, we have Mentor Lori Rumsky-Stodola, we have mom Tammy Miller, and then we have students Brock and Rhodey Miller. And we have Brock graduated last year out of the Check and Connect program, and Rhodey is a 10th grader this year. So we're gonna start with our East group, and I have a question for mom and then a couple questions for the students. So Tammy, I'm gonna ask you first. How does Check and Connect help support the dynamics at your house in regards to education? Having one student that graduated last year out of the program and having another student as a 10th grader.
Thank you. So I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to share with you how the Check and Connect program has impacted our family. My husband and our three boys live in Gideon Township, and our boys are close in age, all attending East High School. All three have unique learning paths. During Brock's senior year, he struggled to stay engaged in school, and there was a point where we were not sure if he was going to graduate. We tried online classes, tutoring, other ways to help him to stay engaged, and we were at a difficult spot with feelings of uncertainty and frustration when his counselor suggested the Check and Connect program. Brock was hesitant at first because we tried so many different learning paths. He wasn't sure if he wanted to join the Check and Connect program, but he did agree to meet with his mentor Lori, and once he did that, we saw significant improvement within just a couple of weeks. He began being engaged. He had the right support structure, so he had the right room to go to have the support or work environment to get his work done. And he was able to successfully navigate the last 2 quarters of high school and graduate with his class. Towards graduation, I reached out to the school counselor, and I inquired about Brody joining Check and Connect as well. So while they have unique learning paths, Brock and Brody have a lot of similarities in how they approach school. And so Brody had ended his freshman year with a 1.67 GPA in the 4th quarter. And he started the Check and Connect program this past fall with mentor Lori. And he has consistently maintained a 2.5 GPA or higher throughout the school year with a goal of achieving a 3.0. So all around, the Check and Connect program has greatly benefited our family. It's provided our boys with the support and tools that they need to engage and be successful in school. In addition, they've also built some long-lasting relationships with their mentors and counselors. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Brock, to follow up to that, when you entered Check and Connect last year, how did it change your outlook about graduation?
So when I entered Check and Connect last year, would have been the 2nd semester. And, like Mom said, I didn't know if I was going to graduate at that time. I had 2 full credit recovery courses, as well as failing both the courses I was taking 3rd quarter. I was looking at having to get A's and complete my credit recovery courses. But that's when I got in touch with Lori and all the other wonderful people that were into it. They were all great help to me. And so, it was reluctant at first, I was still skipping, doing my thing, but when I took the time to sit down and actually buy into this program, it helped tremendously. I credit most of being able to graduate on time to that program and the help that I got in the counselor's office. And, 4th quarter rolls around and, I have 95, 97% in my classes. I'm on track. I'm, spending, instead of going out to eat with my friends or whatever during my study halls and my free periods, I'm hanging out with Warren doing my homework, which is what I should have done. So I just can't thank everybody enough for how much that helped me on my path to graduation.
Thank you, Brody. All right, Brody, someone made you do it too because it helped the other. How do you feel like starting Check and Connect this year has helped change your thinking about school?
It's really helped me just stay on track. It's given me a place to go and focus on my homework, giving me motivation. And Lori always pushes me and helps me stay focused on my work. It's really helpful. That's really all I gotta say. It's just helps me stay, give me that motivation. I use fourth quarter, I had no motivation. I didn't really do anything. That's why I failed some classes, and then Check and Connect has really helped me get there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to move on to Ms. Sari, the dental counselor. And Sari, how do you feel like working in tandem with Check and Connect has helped take some things off your plate and support Denisha?
We work as a team. Oftentimes I'm putting together the roadmap with the course requirements. And the student and parent, Deja, is driving the car on that map. And Check and Connect and case managers are all in that car. With the number of students that I have, if she needs help, I may or may not be available. But they call the Check and Connect crew, and Cassandra is there. They can help her with the assignment that she's working on right at that time, which is really important. All the students tend to get overwhelmed and frustrated when they want to do the work and they can't, and they need someone to help break it down. I've also found them one of the best qualities that they all have is showing students and having students teaching them how to talk to the teachers to find out how to do an assignment. Because oftentimes our students just don't know how to ask those questions. So it's part of the team, and it works really well.
How do you feel like with Denisha being on IEP, it has been kind of that extra added support? How do you think that that's helped her about just having an IEP?
She's got someone to talk to about navigating the problems as they come up. In addition to the case manager, also when you're working with her, you're not tutoring or anything, but you're helping with organization, communication, just some basic tools. So it's a piece of the pie. We all have a role. Does that answer your question?
All right, Denisha. How do you feel like Check and Connect has helped you both physically and emotionally?
I'll introduce myself. Hi, I'm Denisha. I'm a junior at Dental High School. At first, like, I was just off. I was way off until I found out that my lovely mentor, Cassandra, we talked on the first day, and she understood how much, like, I was going through it. And mentally, I was, like, failing. I was, like, really doing bad, cutting class, skipping. Wasn't being disrespectful, but I was just cutting class, skipping, just, like, terrible. So she got me back on my A game, like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is how we're going to do it. And I'm going to help you with this. Check and Connect is like, it's like a home. It's like when you walk in there, you feel like you're at home. Like, they might help you with something, they might not know it, but they help you out. And I can appreciate Sandra for that because she helped me with a lot of things. Emotionally, I found myself so many times like depressed, down to the point where I don't want to do it. I can't do it, but she's always there to uplift me, like, you can do it because you're a positive, smart person. And if you ever need help, if you feel like, oh, you can't do it, come to me. And she's like the main person I go to. So physically, emotionally, mentally, I feel like Check and Connect is the place where I can be because she's helping me keep track of my attendance, my grades, my classes, better communication skills. Like, I'm really bad at communicating, so like she's teaching me, she's helping me, she's coping with me through all of this. And it's been a hard process, but I finally opened up to her and I was like, let's do this. So all in that place, I just feel like Check and Connect is my home, not just with Cassandra, but with the other mentors too, with like family. They're really understandable, and I feel like when I'm having a hard time, and I feel like I can't get in class, I can't do this, they are the people I run to. Top priority, she's always on it. Have you did this, have you checked in, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna go over this. It's just like organized, really organized, like I'm really organized. Like I used to just be everywhere. She got me to the place like, needs to be organized, this needs to look like this needs to be like that. So I'm getting back on the track of going to class on time, getting my work done, turning my assignments in, keeping up with my attendance, my whereabouts, where I'm supposed to be, how things are supposed to be done. So Check and Connect is like my home, my family. I feel very lucky there.
So I'm hopeful that that was meaningful for you to hear from the actual, I mean, I could have spent a half hour on numbers and that's dandy, I might have been pretty excited about that, but not as exciting as it is to actually hear the faces behind the numbers and how the program is making a difference. I also hope you heard, it really is taking all of the staff at our schools and the families and the students all working together to make this happen. So, so we're just pleased it's going as well as it is. And then moving forward, we're really looking for ways to advocate for, ways to find funding beyond the 23-24 school year. So next year is our last year of the funding that we do have, and we'll be looking for other sources beyond that.
Member Oswald.
I wanna gush just as much as you did. I couldn't be prouder of you guys for digging in and doing what you needed to do, and the commitment of the staff and the program of itself. I think the history of this program in our district in this form neglects to go back even further, because when the magnet schools were eliminated and the new integration specialist jobs were created, all 12 of the integration specialists became trained mentors in Check and Connect, and the program was implemented for at-risk kids, K-12, on their caseload. That's the only thing that they were doing. They weren't supported very well. They were kind of on an island by themselves, and eventually Superintendent Gronseth pulled some data that said it wasn't working, and when Office of Education Equity Director Ron Haglund retired, and we got Director Howes in there, he changed their entire job scope and eliminated the Check and Connect program. And it kind of makes me angry. It definitely makes me mad because we've missed helping kids that long. And the district as a whole went back to it. And it's being very successful at it. And saving kids and making kids, know their worth. And how many kids missed out on that because of budget concerns and changes in jobs? And so my hope moving forward is looking for grants to pay for it. Perhaps it's just changing some job descriptions again and revisiting how maybe some integration specialists to go back to the roots of what that was designed to do. And to involve kids in elementary school and middle school too. It doesn't have to just be high school. Because those are the kids that are struggling too. And you don't want to just have those kids looking at these other kids that can have access to this program that all struggling kids should have access to. So I hope that's a conversation at your level, because I know it's not something that I need to do myself.
Coincidentally, it's a conversation that is already happening in terms of really examining our other existing staff, whether it's our integration specialists or maybe in education liaisons, for example, looking at those positions and trying to figure out if there's a towards a very similar approach, if not the same approach. So we are having those kind of conversations at this point in time. Nothing definitive yet, but we're starting those conversations.
I appreciate knowing that.
Member Lawful,
Just really appreciate all of you being here and being open to sharing with us and being genuine with us. I love this program. I love every year I've been on the board and have gotten an update on the program. And even before I was on the board, I got to visit a high school in Minneapolis that had this program when I was a social work major, and loved what they were doing, and I was so excited to be able to support this program as a board member. But just really thank you for being here. Thank you, staff, for what you do. And thank you, Mom, for being here.
you your promo video right here. Just go back to these, to the YouTube video. There's your promo right here. Just listen to those authentic, natural. Great job. I'm going to go in order. I saw Member Sadowski, and then I'll come over here and then here.
Yeah, just really briefly, just really thank you for being here. That takes guts too, you know, public speaking, coming to a board meeting, so we really appreciate it. Just to echo what Member Lafferham said, just about being authentic and sharing your experience with us. It's just wonderful to hear that it's being effective, and we all know the data. You know that the more trustworthy adults and mentors that we have in our life as youth, you know, the better the outcomes are. So it's just great to hear it from you. So thank you.
Oh yeah, thanks for coming. St. Louis County had put some money into this. 15. Where does that stand?
That's how we have the program. That's currently our single funding source for our mentors.
And when does that end? Is that?
At the next school year.
So that's the money that's.
Yeah, it's
It's
been
not
about
district money?
$2 million. Recovery for American Land
Right,
Resources.
it's recorded.
Yeah, through St. Louis County.
See the name of the funds again?
The American Rescue Act Funds.
It's their version of ESSER. I remember sat home and then I'll come back over here.
Yeah, Brody, Denise, I just want to thank you for being here. The three of you did an excellent job speaking and advocating for this program. Could have done a better job of it. It's always great to have students in front of us to share their experiences. And parents, thank you for being here too. And mentors and support team. Thank you.
Superintendent Magus, and then I think I saw Member Lawful again.
I too just want to say thank you, and I'm so proud of everybody working in the program, especially our students who come very far. The only thing I disagreed with was Denisha, you said you're not a very good public speaker, and I would say you are awesome.
So join that Denfeld speech team.
You are.
You can see that happen.
But I would say that just overall, the budget of the district, Simone's primary job, one of the things that she's talked about as being her key priority, is to make sure that we're thoughtfully, as we have to come off of the ESSER funding, thinking about how are we going to do so in a responsible way that's going to take care of our programming. Just this afternoon, we met with Baird for some preliminary conversation. Actually, not preliminary. This is probably the third time we've met with them, and we've had them before the board. And we actually plan to have Baird, if it's okay with the board, come back at our June committee of the whole meeting to discuss some things related to financial next steps for the district that could allow for not just continuing things through grant funding, because we know grant funding seems tenuous, but some things that we want to look at for funding of a number of the ESSER positions and American Rescue Fund positions that we have in the district. We see it as being very, very valuable just for the level of quality that we want to have for our students. And we don't want to get rid of the things that we have to do. We want to make sure that we have the funding for those things, and we want to make sure that we thoughtfully bring it to the community and to the school board for consideration as we look at some things, potential refunding of bonds, potential levy, potential referendum. There's a variety of tools that we can have in our tool belt
also thank Sarah for leading this effort along with Dr. Tate. Really appreciate it. Great work. And is there one more burning question, because we do have several other presentations?
I'm just going to quickly say that I have had the pleasure of working and seeing Check and Connect at Denfeld from the very early stages, and I really want to just support and encourage and share with my mentors that really the success of the program. I know it really is all of us, but as I watched our early mentors at Denfeld, Deb and Kim, and just the level that they came with, it is our mentors. So I'm going to encourage and work behind the way I can to make sure that we are, lifting you up, that we are supporting you, that we are making the mentor job secure and enticing for our talented people as we grow and need more mentors. Because if we don't find the right fit, then all of this, the reason why you're successful, and you both highlighted the mentor you worked with. And so we're just going to have to keep making sure that the passion and the energy and the love that you have for your kids is there, and that we're supporting that as well. So thank you. Thanks for the success that Denfeld rolled it out, and the wisdom you had of starting, with a foundational structure so that we build to be that successful. It was delightful to always see you at Denfeld and work with you as well. Good stuff. Speech to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. While we transition, our next presentation is going to be done by a director. I have been praying to the doctor.
What?
So,
I get you to the superintendent. I'll get you that.
Brother's the doctor. Director Crane, who oversees our special services programming, as well as Laura Thurston, who's the assistant director for our special services program. They're going to provide an update related to our setting for programming.
Just over here, so we can see that. Being comfortable there.
This is both.
Where can I start? Just by. Good evening, members of the board.
Good evening.
Jason Crane. I'm really going to accentuate Laura's involvement in the research and several meetings that she hosted to recruit some of the details and logistics for the STEPS program. So I'm going to ask Laura to start our presentation and elaborate a little bit about the program.
Thank you. So we're excited to bring a setting 4 option to the district to serve students who have IEPs and need intensive support with behaviors. I love the name STEPS because it is intentional. It encompasses the mission and the vision of the program. STEPS stands for Success Through Empowerment and Positive Supports, and that really is the underpinning of the program. The purpose of the program is to provide a smaller, purposeful environment for students who are displaying significant behaviors and emotional dysregulation and unmet needs. And through the smaller, purposeful environment, we will address the behaviors, reshape the behaviors, and return them back to their home school. So if you have this presentation to read more, my purpose today is just to hit the highlights for you, answer any questions you might have, not read the presentation to you. You might have recognized from the first picture the site at Rock Ridge is where we will have this program. We have 3 classrooms there. We'll have 3 teachers. No, sorry, we'll have 2 teachers. Sorry, Mr. Bonds, don't get too excited. We'll have 2 teachers there, one to serve our elementary students and one to serve our secondary. We have a social worker. Just as a side note, we've already hired our social worker, outstandingly qualified, and that's probably not great English there, but very well qualified individual. Very excited to have her join our district. And then the site supervisor. The job description is ready. We're in the process of getting that put out. So, and then additionally, we will have 3 paraprofessionals to support the program. 3 classrooms, I said, but 2 teachers. So one classroom will be a cool-down space and a reset space, because we know in these environments that's a necessary component for us. Curriculum is going to be provided through AOC. Did I say that correctly? ALC. And it will be a full-day setting. Our ideal students are probably the students that right now are not in school full day are not able to maintain a full day of schooling. So we're encouraging, working with our school staff right now to identify those students and begin steps or begin the process of bringing them back to campus for a full day, collecting the necessary data as a part of the referral process and making the recommendation for these students. We'll provide transportation, and as an opportunity or a benefit of having this program at the Rockridge site, Northwoods is there, and so if families choose to, they can avail themselves of some additional services through Northwoods. Right now, all of the school staff has received the referral information, the process, the documents that they need, and we have our own staff that is working with the campus sites to identify the students and really fine-tune their recommendations, because it will be a small student population and we have a great demand. We really want to get our high-tier students, our high-need students first, and so we really want to be sure that we have identified the most likely candidates. That's a real high overview of what we're doing. Martha Lippett, I need to mention her. She's been with the department for very many years, has a rich background with behavior, and has, in addition to Mr. Crane, have had experience with the setting for and with behaviors, and so they have really contributed to this process and really made the thoughtful recommendations about the referral and the ideal candidate and what structures and supports will be needed next year for this. I'll entertain any questions for you, and again, provided you the PowerPoint for your review. My intent was to give you a very high overview.
Neighbors at home?
So for doing this at Rockridge, I don't know how much space is Rockridge using in that facility right now? I mean, how much space is Northwoods using at Rockridge? Are we going to be separate in the building from them, or do we have our own space within the building?
We already have a site, some classroom space out there. I don't know, you'll have to answer the part about Northwoods.
We're using about half the building right now. Jacob Pencil is our lead administrator for the Rockridge program that's out there, and we partner with Northwoods in that school district. Formerly, it was a different agency that was the mental health provider there, and Candy Hills was there before. And half of the building, and it's got a nice separation in the middle, is being used as some office locations. We actually have some of our office and files out there at the Rockridge site because we didn't have enough room here in our lease agreement. So a few people are going to be relocated out, and we'll be using about half the building for the current care and treatment program that's there. We're partnering with Northwoods, and then our site will be on the other half of the building. If you go back to the first slide, it shows you a picture of the Rockridge campus.
So Northwoods isn't using the whole building like they used in the past.
So that arch right there is the middle of the building, and the right-hand side has really no student classrooms in there right now, but that's where our STEPS program will be located, on the right half of the building.
So Northwoods isn't using much of that space.
No, they've really downsized a lot, but we're actually talking about maybe transforming some. What's here is day treatment. It's not a residential overnight campus here, and we have day treatment at Chester Creek, and we're talking about maybe making this the campus for all of the day treatment students. Northwoods would prefer that. So we may move a classroom from Chester Creek and house it here. We have room for that.
Along with having room for steps.
Yep, yes.
And we own this building.
Yes.
Yes.
Think about it for a second. Yes,
We thought about this. We still
I'm glad we held on to it.
It's just been a long time since I have been out there before.
Neighbor on top.
Thank you. So 16 students total for next year will be there. I believe, in our prior conversations that we already know that we have a full amount of kids that will be going there probably, at least 16, and probably a waiting list maybe. At what point will we be able to tell if this program is being a success, and will it be expandable in the future?
Well, you want to take that
As Laura did a nice job in the presentation, a referral for a STEPS program takes a tremendous amount of data. And the last step is an IP meeting with parent consent and approval. Parents can actually deny that request, and that's called stay put. So we will gather data throughout the process and into next school year and gladly report back to the school board about what our referral numbers look like. When we've had setting 3 and 4 programming in the past, we've had a student our first setting 3 started with 1 classroom back in the day. We grew to 12 EBD classrooms and a setting 4 program back in the day. Then we downsized, and right now we have setting 3 programming at all of our school sites. So we have a natural continuum of service, and the STEPS program is just adding back a program that we haven't had for a while, but we've done our research to know that it's needed right now. The alternative is many students on home-based, homebound programming, and it would be nice to get those students back in school because that's a better option to be in a STEPS program rather than a home-based program. Great question, Ms. Oswald.
And we will be evaluating its impact throughout the year and making decisions on, if it's working. Obviously, we want to continue that, and then if we see a need for an increase, we'll explore those conversations. But right now, we are just excited that we are able to offer this again level of support that's needed for our students with special needs.
I feel a little bit of coming full circle because I know that I spoke out against cutting setting 3 and 4 programs when I first got on the board in one of my first budget discussions and predicted that that's not an option because we have no place for those students to go, and that's exactly what happened is those students are staying home now, and so I'm very happy that we are choosing to educate them in an appropriate way because they deserve it.
Yeah, so a couple things. I'm sorry, what ages of the kids will be in the 16 kids?
Well, we can serve all school-age students, yeah. So we'll have an elementary classroom and then a secondary classroom.
So we'll have 2 classrooms, and then the other part of that is, when did we stop this program?
I think it was 2010. We downsized our EBD programming. So it's been about 12, 13 years that we have not had district-wide setting 3 and 4 programs.
Great. And my last comment is, my kids went to Rockridge as an elementary school. I'm very intimate with that whole building. I've been out there now that we've used it for other educational resources, and it's a wonderful site. I'm so glad we're providing this wonderful site for the kids that will be going there. Yeah, it's a wonderful place that we can offer safe, serenity kind of site. So.
Any other questions? Thank you for that update.
Thank you. And this will start next fall, right?
Yep.
Thank you.
So as I'm scrolling back to the actual agenda, the 2 presentations you just saw is an example of some of the efforts we are making to meet the needs that exist in our district. So I wanted to point that out. When there's questions about what are we doing? We have been working aggressively over the last previous 3 years, but I can only speak to the 3 years we've been here on really trying to build the programming that's necessary to support the needs that exist, with our students. And so those are just 2 great examples. The next presentation will be provided. I don't have the names here, but it's oh, thank you.
They're our guests today.
Executive Representative is going to provide an update
for
the PSS renaming suggestions with our meeting.
Okay.
Executive Representative.
Thank you. So we gave you a handout. It's on your board book, and I believe Shannon will try and cast that for us. I just wanted you to have a hard copy of it as well. Okay, great. So policy 810 is our
renaming policy. And to follow suit, we had a presentation by a group several months ago, which was very enlightening. It was great. But to go back to the policy and do it all in order, we then, with our communications officer, Adele Wellens, we had it posted on our website. And we went through our Denfeld website, it went on Facebook, you posted it on.
We went on Denfeld website, district website, Denfeld Facebook and Instagram, district Facebook and Instagram, district Twitter, as well as district Facebook.
So it went everywhere. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. So the first part of your packet is the list of names that we did receive through that process. And because our other group came to the board and made a presentation, I wanted to be transparent with our school board and our public to let everybody know who submitted their names. Okay? Then the Business Services Office will come up with a naming suggestion. We will give it to the superintendent to bring to the board. I hope to do that next month. And so anyway, I wanted to share the names with you. Would you like me to go through each one and talk about them, or would you just like to read them yourself? I just wanted to open any communication. If anyone had any more suggestions or if you had any comments, I'd be willing to listen to them.
More just a question, when you put the reason or concern attached to this, was that the person who brought this name forward?
That is correct.
Okay,
Yes.
so these aren't your comments?
These are not my comments, these are the comments by the person that made the recommendation. Okay? And they're all great suggestions.
If there was a suggestion that was heard outside of this, I was just thinking we had somebody make comment at public comment, would that be?
They're on
here.
here,
They're on
Bob and Karen Bayless made those comments, so I think
I thought
we.
they also suggested Denfeld Stadium or something.
This is what we got in writing from them, and they did make that, they had their presentation, you're correct.
And I'm not trying to suggest.
Not at all.
That's in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in their reasons.
So, I respect the policy, but I just really want to take it one more step and really just bring it one more time to the whole school board to show you all the names that were received and their reasonings and their requests. There's email addresses for everybody, and I'd be willing to discuss any of it with you. And next month I will come back. We're having our attorney help us with a naming agreement. There will not be any funding with any suggestions that we bring forward to you. So we're drafting an agreement that doesn't require any money at this time.
I have one more question.
Yes, this is the time to ask.
Were all of the people that either submitted, these names here, given an opportunity to come in front of the board too, or knew that opportunity? Out of curiosity.
That's a great question. I believe so, because we had a couple that did come to public comment. But was that listed in the website at all?
I think the website just listed that it would be coming in June.
Okay.
To the board.
The suggestion, okay. And so, because I felt it was a little limited, that's why I'm bringing it to you again. I pushed this off one more month because I wanted you all to see the names that were brought forth. And, you can email me or call me if you have any more questions or concerns.
So the next step, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, I haven't looked at the policy very closely, so is there a time window that closes for these other names coming forward?
There was a 2-month time window, yes.
And this is what's come through in that.
That is correct.
Appreciate that. Member Sadowski.
I guess I was gonna ask, so can you clarify the next step?
Sure. So let's go to that's why I included the board policy for you.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to part 8, process for granting naming rights. And I have to read it out loud. I'll go quickly. The Business Services Office will engage in the following processes to grant naming rights. So A, upon request or solicitation of naming rights to a space or facility, the Business Services Department will engage by notification on the district website and through other media messaging that naming rights requests are open for submission. So we did that to, I don't know.
District website, Denfield's website, district social media, Denfield's social media.
Yeah, so we posted in more than several places. Now B, naming rights that include a financial contribution, sponsorship, or a provision of services or materials will be reviewed for reasonable valuation by business services. Naming rights and recognition being considered will be confirmed to meet standards set out in this policy. So none of the suggestions we have received so far require any funding. Okay, and C, this will be our next step. So I kind of added this in there.
So none of the requests will require any financial, except for, is there a thought that the district will want to put onto the stadium the name? And wouldn't that come from some kind of financial? So whatever name we come up with, would you want to put that on the stadium up there, or no?
I think by the financial commitment, is that referring more to if there was a sponsorship?
Yes.
Like if,
So if you look right above that under, B, it talks about a financial contribution from a donor, which would give them naming rights. So an example is Proctor with their naming rights for their hockey stadium for St. Luke's, as well as Hermantown's football stadium. They were given $1 million by Centricity Credit Union to get their name on the field.
And once that's
You were given $1 million?
Yes. $1 million. Yes. Proctor was given much more by St. Luke's. If you're wondering.
and we've
Chair
discussed.
Lofo, you're gonna get two?
It's not gonna be the low fall field.
I was gonna say, can we name a theater after something, or,
We've discussed a potential next step after the momentum is gathered from a potential name change. That at that point there could be potential exploration of sponsorship by a corporation. I know that there are several corporations that have some interest in things like that, so we would be potentially interested in reaching out and looking at additional partnership there.
The other question that I have, and is just so we've got the chart with other people who came in with some names, but our original presentation with the change to the Walt Hunting Stadium and the Mark Heikkinen Field is currently one we are moving forward, and the other things are just some process things that we're doing. Yes or no? Or you will come to it. The business service will eventually actually take even this graph that we've got and a presentation that we had last month and come back to us with your recommendations.
That's exactly
And the board will either accept or challenge or, name it as something.
The group you just met had their chance to do their presentation. Some people did come last week and made public comment. They were allowed to make their requests here. So now I wanted to give you an additional list. So we didn't just have one group that came forward. So I've kind of inserted this process a little bit into this policy because I just am trying to be super transparent about this. So you know what names that we have to choose from.
And I think this is our first work with this policy and then with naming. And I'm sure we'll have some other things coming to the district, not next month, but, in a few years. So we're getting our education about how to work with this policy. And then maybe we'll get some feedback by community people who have come forward and either their name was selected or it wasn't selected as to what can we do, what in the policy is currently working and what might need to be looked at again by a policy committee. Or, looks like it's working. Process looks like it's working, at least on my part.
No, agreed, and I appreciate that you said that. So our next step is, like I said, we're coming up with an agreement, a template, and we will give that suggestion to the superintendent, who then we'll bring it to the school board via us, and we'll do that next month. Okay? And if you have any additional concerns or questions, please feel free to call me or email me.
We thank you. You've been more than transparent and more than open to questions and discoveries.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions? Our next presentation will be given by our elementary director, Sparks, as well as our DFT president, Ethan Fisher. Will be co-chairing that presentation. It's regarding our elementary schedule.
Good evening.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you both. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, I have to say we're very excited to be in front of you. I'm talking about the elementary schedule where it stands now. It's been about a year that we have been partnering and working through this process. So it's a lot of passion and hard work that went into all of this from many different people. So to start us off by saying that. We did attach a presentation. In the presentation, there'll be some spreadsheets that you won't really be able to see the detail, but I linked them in there. So if you wanted, if you were so inclined, you could go in and take a look at those spreadsheets yourself. But we'll just kind of give you a high overview of that. So through the labor management process, we have our QLTs, and we have an elementary focus where teachers, district administration, myself, Ethan, we all come around the table and we talk about topics. Since I began in July of 2021, elementary scheduling is on every single time. And in different realms where I would go, they would talk about the 8-day rotation and how horrible it was. And it was principals, teachers, district, DF, I mean, it was everybody talking about it. I'm like, well, let's just fix this thing. And so through Ethan, we formed a committee with DFT members who were interested. Not everyone's interested in scheduling stuff. But there are some who have passion and skills surrounding scheduling. So we, this is our committee member slate. So we had a lot of teacher representation from many different areas. Especially we wanted to include one from each specialist area. We have music, PE, media, and art on there. Ethan was there. We had district representation, including curriculum, digital innovation. Anthony came to most of the meetings, and then the principals were all invited as well. Most of the time, and I put in here some of the meeting schedule, the teachers were very invested in this process. Some of the principals showed up a lot, but really this was a teacher-driven with myself, with Anthony, Ethan really working together to solve this issue. The next slide. One of the things we decided, first question is, are we going to do this 23-24? Are we going to have this be like a 2-year process where you're like, no, this has been long enough. If you were to ask Jim Olson, he goes back about 17 years on the problems with the elementary schedule. So we were like, no, we're going to get this done. So we really had a sense of urgency because of all of the problems that have been expressed. And then due to the district's focus on a multi-tiered system of supporting kids, the elementary schedule, or any schedule actually, is a part of the infrastructure. So you have to have an effective schedule in order to implement the different tiers of instruction for kids. And then equity-wise, better structures means we're able to address the needs of kids better in all of our schools. Equality is in here. We had, especially in our specialist areas, and I'll show you that a little bit later. The time kids were spending in specialists was kind of all over the board. It was not equal at all. And teachers and some of them weren't able to teach their full standards.
that they needed to, so we really had to help them out. And then budgets and staffing. I had asked, the first thing I did was I went to Simone, and I had kind of figured it out myself, and I said, can we have, approximately about $300,000? She said yes. I mean, she really, I gave her the rationale and how much this would do for the elementary schools, and so the district made a commitment to help us out with that too. So those are the things that we considered as we moved into the process.
I'll just jump in. I know it's not a secret to any of you that I'm a fan of labor management. And being in the position that I'm in, and really I was one of the first teachers involved in the process from Central High School back many, many years ago when we brought it in. And now being able to sit in as DFT president, working with teachers and our district leaders to come to solutions. And that's really what happened through this process. You see the list was put up earlier of who was involved in this, and it was really a culmination of people from the experts in the classroom to district leaders who were invested in wanting to make the change. Last year in negotiations, we really stressed the importance of using our labor management process, and I think this is the culmination of that. And I think our relationship through the process of working on this really not only improved that relationship, but I think it also made the process easier, just because we all had a common goal of solving this problem that, as Brenda mentioned, has been around since about 2007, when budget cut after budget cut left us in a situation where we had a not so student-centered schedule that we now believe is not maybe 100% fixed, but really close.
We surveyed people and got feedback on what is our current reality with the 8-day rotation and what has been happening. We got a lot of bullet points on what was wrong with the current schedule, which gave us a little more motivation to get things fixed. And then we had some goals. So we really wanted to make this a collaborative problem-solving process, and which it was. To provide consistency in the elementary instructional day with a common schedule, a framework across our schools, so not all 9 elementaries will have a very similar experience going on for staff and students. Integrating grade level daily common preparation time. So within a school now, kindergarten will all have the same time when their kids are going to their specialists. First grade will, second grade. So it'll give those teachers more time. If they want to collaborate or, prepare together, they will be able to do that.
And I think the key to that is that while those students are at their specialists, that is when the teacher has their built-in prep time during the day, and that was something that was missing. And if there's one thing I heard over and over again over the course of the last 4 years, that was one of the big 3 things. The after-school prep that was there was needed for other things, meetings, interventions, CIT, whatever the case is, and that was a continual problem. And I think by building the schedule like this and having those specialist times set and standard throughout every building in the district, it frees up that opportunity for teachers to have that prep period, and that is critical.
And then we wanted to design a specialist schedule that improves the daily experience for those specialist teachers. It's really all over the board. Are they getting their prep? They're having to travel a lot. Some of them aren't full-time because of the configuration of their jobs. We have .1s. We have a .1 Lester Park art job that we've never been able to fill the whole year. So there's this piecemealed out. So we're trying to fix that. Ensure sites maintain autonomy. So within the structure that we were going to provide sites, making sure that there was flexibility built in for their uniqueness, and then outline clear expectations and procedures for that process, which we're doing now. So the next slide is just kind of a menagerie of showing you that isn't even all the meetings. I mean, we've had so many meetings having to do with this. The ones in the middle, those were our full committee, and then we had a lot of subcommittees and work going on to make this happen. And then we also, in the end, when we were ready to present it to teachers, Jim Olson, who's a math interventionist at Myers-Wilkins, Lynn Thompson, 5th grade teacher from Piedmont, Ethan, myself, we went on a tour of the schools and we gave a presentation to each staff at a meeting at their school. It was fun, we learned a lot, we took feedback as we went. So after the first couple of schools, we were like, oh, we kind of fixed a couple things, and so it was a good process. And people got to ask good questions. We got to clear up some misconceptions when we did that, and really a united front, I think, worked well. So
Yeah, and that culminated, of course, with the writing of an MOU that was prepared and ready to go going into those meetings, and then that was the common ground that every building received. After those 9 visits, we did make a few adjustments within that MOU based on what we heard from a larger audience. And then 2 weeks ago, the elementary teachers voted on it and overwhelmingly approved it, this is the 3rd vote in 17 years on an elementary schedule. The other 2 failed. This one passed overwhelmingly. So.
91%. Good. And then we move into the master schedule. So what we did is we did 2 different kind of phase schedules. One is a master schedule, so every school will start with the same format. And then we did a specialist schedule too. So this is talking about the elementary base schedule. So included in that is equal daily minutes for a classroom and specialist teacher. We did not have that, or we haven't had that. And so we really worked to make sure that everyone benefited, and we came out with equality as far as minutes of instruction in a day, where teachers are in front of kids and when they're not. So that was a goal. Morning meeting, that social emotional part has not really been built in as an expectation, so that will be in the base schedule now.
And that's with students, that's your morning meeting as an elementary.
Morning meeting.
I spent my whole career in secondary. I think I got that.
Well, I just had a quick visit about your site visits, which,
yeah.
wow, how fun that must have been. And I appreciate all the time you did to seek that extra input. Who was that? Was it like a staff meeting or how?
It was volunteer. We told the teachers we would be there. We'd be presenting, we'd be seeking feedback, they could ask questions, and they could come if they wanted. We got
Easily 80% of every staff was there.
Many
they were well attended.
Yeah,
Everyone is invested in it, so I feel like they took that seriously and wanted to be there.
So that consistent grade level specialist blocks, like we had said, and then recess lunch maintaining that 45-minute window. And the nice thing about this is across the district, in every single schedule, specialists will have common daily prep the first 4 to 5 minutes of the day. So every PE teacher across the elementary schools will have the same prep. So if they wanted to collaborate, because there's only one PE teacher at a school, so if they wanted to partner with other PE teachers or the art teachers wanted, they could get on a Google Meet during their common prep and have that same experience that the classroom teachers are having. So that's kind of cool that we were able to do that. Here, the next, the spreadsheet kind of shows you just an outline of what the day will look like at the beginning of the day, the middle of the recess lunch, and the end of the day. The very bottom outlines the specialist schedule with specific blocks of time where the specialists will be taking place. The first one there, like I said, is their common prep. The blue box on that bottom, that very bottom row. So across the whole district, that's where that common prep is going to take place. Then across the whole district, those in the elementary schools, those yellow blocks, blocks 1 through 6, are exactly the same. So it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent. And then there's a link there if you want to go and look in more depth at those schedules. The next one's just an example of what's it going to look like when the school takes it and then makes the schedule their own. So they will then take that and design their grade level blocks of core instruction. So how many minutes of the ELA, how many minutes of math, social studies, science, where are we incorporating our WIN? And so they will be taking that, and that's what they're doing in May. So yesterday, as a matter of fact, they all got their information in their schedules. So for the next 5 weeks, they're going to be designing the rest of the schedule. And then I put a link there to the example too. There's a process for schools to follow. So I kind of wrote a guidebook, if you will. So when the schools get their stuff, which they got yesterday, they'll all form a team. So it's going to be a collaborative process at the school level. They're going to have to review the guidelines that are sent out, and then decide about the choices that they're going to get to make, that autonomy piece for schools. And then I just outlined the steps that they're going to be taking. So their team, they'll assign the specialist blocks to grade levels, logistics of arrival, dismissal, recess, lunch. They'll have to put their WIN blocks in there, developing their core. I also included, I think I told you about this, maybe I haven't. No, you're gonna learn. I was thinking over the weekend, if we have 2-hour late starts next year, why not proactively plan for that? So I put one of those in, so they're gonna do that also in May, design their 2-hour late start schedules, and then they'll have to all submit that back to me by June 8th. So before teachers go home for the summer, they will know exactly what their day looks like, which specialists they have. If we have a 2-hour late start, what their day is going to look like. So all of this will be finished, and they can use that information over the summer. Any questions about that? The next part of it was looking at the specialist schedule. Now this was a very complicated process. This took us the most time.
Took you were the
Me the most time. The district specialist schedule will look like this. So it has, on the left-hand side, it's a 4-day rotation. So instead of 8 days, it'll be rotating every 4 days. And you'll see that day 1 goes across horizontally, day 2, day 3, day 4, and then the sites, Lester's first, Lowell, Condon, and across. In our plan, we're also including support at Chester, Merritt, and Rockridge, including the setting 4. We added the setting 4 in there. At some point when we knew it was coming, we thought, well, we might as well toss it in, because we knew we should support that, so we put that in there too.
This is really where the consistency in the schedule comes, because that 4-day rotation with the 4 specialists now makes that time equal amongst them. You know, if you were an art teacher, you saw your kids once every 8 days, and if a kid missed, it was over 3 school weeks that you didn't see your students. So this builds that in so that every 4 days it's a rotation that works, and so it increases that contact time that 3 of our 4 specialists have on a weekly basis.
No, I really appreciate all the work that having done scheduling myself. I appreciate the amount of time and logic that has to go into such a thing. We had heard through the process some concerns about significant reductions in physical education specialists, but it doesn't appear to be as much as maybe was thought.
Yep, and I have 2 slides from now. I have that, so I'll go with that. The next slide, what each site will do is take their individual schedule off of there, and that will become their site specialist schedule. So they'll take that. This is Home Cross. I just did a mock one where they'll assign. You can see the first block of the day is 5th grade, 4th grade, 3rd grade, 1st, and then it just rotates through. As an example, the 3rd grade teacher that I put over here, every single day of every day of the year will have the exact same time, 45 minutes that they'll be having their specialist time.
Right now, that third grade teacher could have it for 30 minutes or 60 minutes or 45 minutes. It could be at this time this day, this time this day, this time this day. So planning is just a nightmare right now. But this will be exactly the same time every day. So planning for special ed teachers helping or your all kinds of things. This makes it way better for multiple people to be able to help.
Could you plug all of this into a computer program and have this spit out, or are you really manipulating, really?
Yeah.
And there is no other school sites that we could borrow how they do their specialist, or?
Well, we're so unique.
We are,
We're
okay.
very unique, and then we have
I've
to
heard that.
solve. If you go back to the last one, we had to solve Lowell's problem because Lowell has too many kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And so a 4-day rotation would not work there. So we had to add, you'll see Lowell has that purple where we have to borrow from one of the other schools that one day to supplement them. And so that was something we had to solve. And then we have to solve when like Piedmont doesn't quite have enough
Yes.
for full time. And so there were a lot of things that we had to work out. So, yeah,
Oh,
but it,
you could sell this.
it was a fun process.
And trust me, she did it. She would come from the weekend and talk about, guess what I did? I'm
Yeah,
like,
you meant, yeah.
did you relax a little bit? No, I did this. I'm like,
So coming to, there you go. This really gives us a comparison between what's happening now. So the very top says 8-day rotation, and I took this from Lester Parks. So you can go across there and see day 1, 2 through 8, which specialist is taking place, and this was one teacher's experience on the 8-day rotation. And then how many minutes. If I were to put the times there, you'd see how inconsistent it was too in the day. So art was 60 minutes in 8 days, media 60 minutes in 8 days, PE was 105, and music was 60 minutes. And then if a kid missed art, they missed for many, many days. We missed out a lot of the instruction for the year. So we really were one of our goals was to balance this out, to have that equal access to those content areas. This did not allow, like, the art teacher was like, I can't teach my full spectrum of standards. So going to the 4-day rotation, every single day is 45 minutes and it rotates. So art's twice, day 1 and day 1. Now they're all 90 minutes across the board. And so it increases art, media, and music by 30 minutes over 8 days. There is a decrease of PE for 15 minutes over 8 days, but really it was way out of whack. And that gotten to the point where, art and music kind of couldn't hardly function because of the minutes that had, I don't even know how that came to be. So we fixed that, and that's where we're saying we're experiencing a little dip in PE minutes, so we can realize increases in these other 3. Are there any questions about that? And that's kind of the rub. I mean, that is really through this process. That's probably the one thing that we just.
There was only one negative.
We couldn't get away from that.
And I think the important thing to mention is that coming out of this, none of our PE teachers are going to be negatively impacted in the sense that they won't have a job. So that was a guarantee that we had from the beginning, with some movement, whether retirement or out-of-field placements. We feel we're going to achieve that, and I'll speak more to the timeline of how that's all going to happen later on. So.
But the PE teachers had these crazy days and weeks too, where they had 30-minute class,
30-minute,
40-minute class, 45-minute.
Yep.
I mean, it was hard to follow just what their week would be like in some cases.
It's very different. They weren't getting their preps. They were having to travel. So there was a lot of things. In our new schedule, our specialist schedule, there's only one travel piece. The rest of the travel has been eliminated. So that's also decreasing our expense there too.
Am I not following the fact that if I was a PE teacher, wouldn't I feel a little bit that I'm teaching more minutes during the day than my colleagues are? No? 105 Or am I reading that wrong? Like if I'm the FIA teacher, I'm teaching more minutes than my colleague and we're getting paid the same.
Yeah, you really aren't because of the way that it was set up. If you taught 30-minute classes, you couldn't have more than 9 of those in a day, but if you had 45-minute classes, there were only 6. So there was some adjustments in the number of sections you have per day that made those times equal. But that further complicated it, right? I mean, that just adds another wrench in the system in terms of keeping things consistent. So.
And then we had specialists paired up, like Lester and Holcroft. Over 1,000 kids those specialists had. So we eliminated all of that too. Now they all have about the same caseloads with the way that we fit it together. So we decided to go with a specialist, like an FTE chart. So depending on how many sections they're teaching total, will determine their FTE. They have something like this right now. And the reasoning behind this is like a school can gain or lose a section from year to year. And we want consistency of teachers in our schools. So if someone loses a section, we then don't want to have to either decrease that person to, make less money, or have to have them travel to make up for that FTE to go to another school. So this just provides continuity and consistency in our scheduling from year to year. Do you want to add anything else to that?
No, I think you've covered it right. I just think this is one of those points that could be very contentious for folks because, okay, if I'm just going to pick Lester Park. If Lester Park would drop a section, does that mean that teacher's now going to go displace somebody else? And so there would be just constant fluctuation and lack of consistency from year to year for students and for the staff. So I think this really addresses that. As we know, travel has been a huge part of our specialists. That doesn't come without a cost. And this schedule ultimately eliminates, with the exception of one pairing, it eliminates the travel from day to day. So that's that 45 minutes that you have to give the teachers in order to travel, which is paid time that we're accounting for. That's no longer going to be an issue. So I think it really solves that big issue.
The next part we moved into the MOUs. We needed to do 2 MOUs to help with this. Right now we had in the current DFT contract, there's 2 different parts of the contract that address the elementary teacher workday. What we did through this process is develop an MOU that goes along with this schedule that will take the place of those 2 pieces in the current contract. So we kind of upfront proactively did that part of the contract for this next round, and that's what the teachers voted on.
So Article 10 in our contract is the teacher workday. But back when they added PLCs, that threw a wrench into the elementary schedule and the elementary workday, and so the MOU was created and added. It even says in there the hope is to do away with this and move to something better. And it's been a long time coming, but the way that the MOU is written is that when we settle on our next contract, that MOU will become the new Article 10 language on the elementary workday, and it'll do away with that MOU. So it's a TA that we have, a tentative agreement that we have that we've now approved. Both sides have agreed to it. And so as far as negotiations are concerned, we're already a step ahead in that, right? Because that's going to be a definitive piece that's added when the new contract is settled. The second MOU, I'll just speak to this quickly, was more of a timeline MOU. If you don't know this, we displaced roughly 30 elementary specialists last week. Last Wednesday, all of our specialists were given displacement letters, along with a couple of the graphs that you saw here, specifically to the schedule that Brenda developed in terms of the rotation, as well as their seniority. And Member Lofall and Member Sandholm, you recall the big fill from 2010. Well, we're doing a mini fill next week on Wednesday, where based on seniority, our specialists will be choosing their job essentially based on what's been set up through this process. Tomorrow night, we have our pre-film meeting, I think Brenda and I would both say over the last month, we've gotten probably hundreds of emails specifically from our specialists who are concerned. Anytime you're telling somebody you're gonna be displaced from your job, there's uncertainty. And so I think we've done the best to answer those questions. Tomorrow, we're gonna come together with Director Severance from HR to just try to answer questions, calm nerves, and prep everyone for what they can expect next week, so that by the time we leave next Wednesday, those specialists will all know their assignments going into the next year and can begin the process of scheduling within those buildings. So that was what that second MOU did. That did not have to be voted on. That was just an agreement in terms of timeline that Brenda, Teresa, and I have. So,
Where are you doing that?
it's at the DFT offices. Yep.
And when they go in to select based on seniority, have you already paired the schools that they will serve at? So there would be the choice of whether that's a Piedmont and a Homecroft or a Stowe and a MacArthur.
We both laughed about that because that was the number one point of contention is, do we pair them, do we not pair them? Do we post these positions and you have to take what they are, or do we allow the teachers to kind of pair them as they pick, knowing that you can't break up full-time jobs into multiple mini jobs. I mean, that's contractually protected already, and so it's, I think we're maybe all a little on pins and needles in terms of when that first person goes in to pick, how is this all gonna work out, but I think they have done the work on knowing where they wanna go and what it's gonna look like, so.
And who wants
And
their
who wants
space,
what, yep.
That's
So-
the encouragement.
Right.
So with the 30 elementary specialists that were displaced, will they all, are we gonna lose any of that 30, or are we gonna?
We actually are gaining.
Yeah, okay.
And that's, I have a
That's the
timeline on the last slide, so I'll show you that in a minute. So that MOU really outlines that they'll have a 45-minute prep embedded in their day, 3 days after school per week on average, on your average week, will be protected prep after the day, 2:30 to 3:15. The other two can be used for meetings. We're designating a day for PLCs, so we're gonna have PLC Thursdays at the elementary school. So again, they can work after site or they can work across the sites if they want. Special education teachers will have no assignable time because they have that due process. That was just added right in there. Classroom teachers only have assignable time at dismissal from 2:15 to 2:30, so they can walk their own kids out to the buses. Specialists can only have up to 6 45-minute teaching blocks during the day now. And then the table was included. And then special ed teachers are able to exchange their prep for due process as they deem they need to. So giving them some flexibility and autonomy. And I know Cindy Miller mentioned this when she was in front of the board, but media teachers, we've added this right in there, their assignable 30 minutes will be used for library management. So they won't be called on to do arrival or dismissal. Their assignable 30 minutes is specifically for library management now. And so they
checking out in books and buying books.
Yeah, they have a lot to
Pulling
do
all
outside.
pulling
Yeah.
all books off the shelves.
Yeah.
I mean, last summer, I don't know how many media specialists total did it. I know Cindy was a big part of it, but spent hundreds of hours weeding through 1,200 or 12,000 books that needed to be down to 5, and getting rid of books from the 1960s that were not culturally appropriate anymore. So just giving them some time now built into their day where they can manage that and hopefully do a better job of keeping that for our students.
And the mini film will only involve elementary teachers, so won't involve high school. The displacement and then the meeting, the mini film next week. And then we have to post. So we have to post about 1.8 jobs in art, media, and music. And then again, we have enough people teachers to do what we need to do, so we don't need to hire any.
I put it average workday, the teacher workday, so what does it look like? The thing in here to remember is they did not have equality across the teacher group. So the classroom teacher versus the specialist teacher versus intervention teachers, and the time that they had student contact versus non-duty versus prep time it was not consistent at all, and that was really a point of contention. So we really wanted to create that experience where everybody's having equal time. So now we have 330 student contact minutes across the board, 60 minutes of non-student contact across the board, and then 90 minutes on your average day of prep for everybody. And so it really equals out that teacher workday. So I think teachers are generally very happy with that.
Yeah, I think it's a win for everybody because classroom teachers are actually seeing a 15-minute reduction in their contact time because students will be gaining that with their specialists. There has been and still is a disparity between contact minutes with elementary teachers versus secondary. This brings that a little bit closer together, so it's a win for classroom teachers, and at the same time, it's also a win for our specialists who now have that consistent schedule with the 45-minute blocks built into it.
Quick question, yeah, I should know this, but my mind is losing it. What's the required amount or the state requirement for contact time?
960 or 965, that's right around there. And we're way above that at the elementaries with our contact time, which is great. And so and that isn't reduced at all.
Just quickly, the next one just gives you a comparison, especially this bottom graph with what the guaranteed contractual prep time for teachers 22-23 is 275 minutes per week, and then next year it'll be 360 minutes, so they're gaining about 85 minutes of guaranteed protected prep per week for next school year. So they were happy about that.
I can tell you that at a couple of the sites, the question when we were done with the presentation was, what's the catch? Because this seems too good to be true. And the reality of it is, I think we're all walking away from this getting what we wanted, and that is a better schedule for first and foremost our students. But in the end, I think it really benefits all of our staff, and happy teachers mean happy students, right? I mean, that's always my lens I look at through this, and I just think that this schedule does so much to do that. So.
And when they asked what's the catch, what's the district asking for, and I said we're asking for healthy, happy teachers is what we want, because then you serve the students better. And so, yeah. Just the mini fill process, you can look at that, and we've already kind of explained that. And then next steps. Right now, like I said, they got all of their stuff at the sites, so they'll have until May 1st until June 9th to get that whole process done, and they have to turn those in by June 9th. The 3rd and 10th, that's the mini fill process, and about May 11th or so, we'll be able to post for those positions that we need to hire for. So that's what we have left to do.
Excellent. And so I do want to say thank you again. Brenda, when she, became aware of this, she's one of those individuals who she rolled up her sleeves, and I was joking, but after the weekend, sometimes on Monday, she would excitedly come in and share something she's been working on. I'm like, Brenda, did you enjoy the weekend a little bit? But this is something. This is a testament to her hard work and all the energy put in there, and I appreciate. Yeah.
Smart.
I appreciate Ethan for supporting Brenda in this process. And there was times that I'm always honest. There was times I'm like, are we gonna be able to pull this off? And sure enough,
I'd say
a lot of commitment.
Believe.
A lot of commitment, Brenda, and I knew things were gonna go well once Ethan started, really start seeing like, hey, I think this might be possible. And so I want to thank Ethan also for working side by side to make this happen. So thank you.
And I just want to publicly, Amy Cass she
she's got a schedule in mind, because you either have a schedule in mind or you don't. And so she helped a lot with the specialist schedule. And then Jim Olson excitedly helped a lot during this process, and so I really appreciated his support. And then Lynn Thompson, she came around with us, and really her perspective and just her being there, supporting the process was really valuable.
I think one of the things that, in addition to just having the right people at the table, as you just mentioned, I think we have been operating under the cheapest model there is, right? Because we have been through budget deficits for decades. This is my 28th year in the district. I think there was money outside of ESSER twice maybe to do investments. And I was adamant, and I believe Brenda was too, right at the beginning with both Superintendent Magus and Assistant Superintendent Bounds. What are we going to invest in this? Because if we're not going to invest something, we might as well not have this conversation. And that was put on the table right away, and so we knew what we were working with and how we could do this. So, I commend that process, because that oftentimes the money gets in the way, as we all know. To me, that was the arch that made this happen. Simone, I can't thank you enough too for just being willing and open to have that conversation, because I haven't always seen that. So.
You're very welcome, but I do want to add, Brenda said that she said it's 300. She said, Simone said, yes, I didn't say it that fast. I did think about it.
There was lots of conversation.
It wasn't 30 seconds.
But we were committed to it.
We were.
Member Oswald, then Superintendent, then.
I just want to first say, I truly appreciate your colored graphics. I miss some of those from previous people, and so it makes it very entertaining and attention grabbing. So I appreciate your organization tables. And so you kind of alluded to exactly what I was going to ask about. What is the net gain, or is it a positive or negative gain to the budget in changing the schedule to this? So we know why this wasn't done before. I mean, did we hold on to cheap model without having to hold on to cheap model because it didn't cost that much, or what's the dent in it?
That's a really good question. Well, we started with ESSER funds, and then for next year, I just simply, with the okay of the assistant superintendent, they want to make this commitment, so I'm building it into the budget. So we have to work around, we're hoping, with our funding increase, our increased compensatory, we have a lot of extra things that can potentially offset this. And if it's successful, which it sounds like it's going to be, we're going to have to figure it out if, it's a model that we want to go forward. And I'll see the end impact at the end of FY24, and then we're going to have to make our tweaks. But I think initially when we knew we had our ESSER funds, we were willing to make that commitment.
But are we talking millions? We're talking
300,000.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yes,
That matters.
300,000.
And that's essentially 3 FTE.
That is correct. Very good, yes.
And I will add that in the past, there was a couple of times where there was a desire to maybe invest in this a little bit by the district, but the planning couldn't get done to the point where it satisfied people. So there were votes in the past that the teachers turned it down. And so this time I just think the plan was better executed in terms of the schedule and getting folks at the table that could go back to their buildings and sell it and bring their expertise. So.
We do have a lot of costs with our current schedule because of the travel. We had to pay people to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing, we had to pay a lot. And I don't know that we ever figured this out, overloads. Because we had a specialist teacher we had to add when they didn't have any capacity really. So we may be a little bit more cost neutral than we think because of those few things.
Superintendent Magus, then
Now, speaking to just the structural changes, I think there's the old saying that systems are perfectly designed to get the results that they do. And I think that we have really tried to take a hard look at our elementary schedule. We're looking very closely soon we'll be starting work on high school scheduling as well, because we know that there are ways of offering instruction that are more engaging and end up with better, more equitable results for all of our students. And that's really something that, as we said throughout this, that is aligned with our desired daily experiences. I would also say thank you to President Fisher and basically all of the QSC and QLT processing teams, because I believe we're in a very different place than we were in the darker days of the COVID pandemic when things were very challenging. And I think that's come through relationship building, time spent together, intentionality around our agendas, and just trust built over time. And I want to say thanks to you, and thanks to you, Director Sparks, for everything that you've done, because this has been something that you've really championed is something that's very important to kids, and we have great results because of it.
Yeah, I was gonna just say actually a couple of similar things, and you know, really, Brenda, having you in place and having a person in this position to put the time into it, because you know, all the coordination for all the slides that you showed, we needed someone in the place to make it happen as well. And Ethan, you kind of touched on that, having that structure to allow it to happen, and you know, certainly agree, you know, your leadership together and the work of the QLTs working made this happen. And so I think it's really exciting. And again, I hate to date myself, but I remember one of my first referendums I worked on was to get, when I moved here in 1994, was to get, and you remember that, Ethan, right? The specialist in all of our buildings for the same amount of time. And that was by referendum. So we came a long ways. And this is very exciting to me as a former parent and that have seen the evolution of specialists in our district. So very exciting, and I'm sure all of the staff in the schools, from working in the schools myself at Lester Park, it'll just be a great schedule. So I really appreciate your work.
Well, thank you. And then next fall, we're going to come back together, probably in the first quarter or so, and we're going to keep reflecting, you know, looking back and reviewing it and making tweaks if we need to next year. And so I look forward to coming back and sharing like progress and reading.
Well, actually, Member Loeffler Kemp said exactly what I wanted to say when we talk about what's the catch is I really do want, and I hope you'll share this at times with the right audiences too. I think it is exactly what Member Loeffler Kemp alluded to, is that our superintendent and our assistant superintendent have taken upon themselves to create a system of organization from top to bottom with alignments and responsibilities and accountabilities for your jobs, and this would be Director Larva as well. We have always cut from as much as we can in this district away from the classroom, and we can't deny that. But then that's why sometimes things that we've known has needed to be fixed haven't always been fixed, because we don't have, you know, the staff to do that. And then when we do have the staff, it's not a complete team like you've seen that came together here. So again, I just really do feel optimistic about the work that we can do as a district in, you know, moving some of the pieces. And this, what you just shared with us, that presentation you just shared, certainly didn't spend much time over the weekend doing anything fun either. You were doing this because it's really a great presentation as well, very clear. And again, for someone in the district, and not to deny that our board members aren't, you're very smart, I should say. You know, I've lived these scenarios and worked with my elementary colleagues at times, and I'm just so pleased that they're going to have consistency and 45-minute prep and the same. Yeah, so great job. Holy man.
I just want to go back to the beginning where you said, where you both spoke to the fact that this is a win for students. This is good for our students in the elementary grades, where they're going to get, you know, a fair amount of time in art, in media, in PE, in music. And so yes, it's great for the teachers in terms of having a little more sanity to their workday, and consistency from day to day. And that makes it easier for the subs too.
Yes.
Which is, I don't know,
Another
hard to
whole-
explain
I know,
that, but yeah, but this is really good for our elementary students, and so I thank you for your work on this.
Sure. Especially those students who struggle, consistency in their day is, and that routine means so much to them, and we were not providing that.
We have one last brief presentation, but I think I see one last question first by member Sadowski.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, that consistency is so important, and I'm just so pleased. Thank you for the collaboration on this and all the hard work. That's an understatement. And thanks for just, I mean, it just seems like there are so many collaborations and compromises too, just from the finance part. I know that it's something that our elementary teachers have wanted for a long time. As a parent of someone two kids who went through our elementary schools, I had a hard time, even though I'm pretty organized. I had a hard time keeping track of which specialist are they at today. Do they need their gym shoes? Whatever it is, I think this is going to be really beneficial for our students, like Member Sanholm said, and our families and our teachers. So, win-win.
Thank that whole committee the next time you're
please
together.
do.
Please.
I'd like to. And thank you for staying.
And we will, yeah, you can leave.
We have one more item.
And I'll just, Sherry will come forward and I'll just make sure everybody has
She's
just a
gonna
little
throw,
piece
she's
of
gonna
chocolate.
throw chocolates at us, okay?
Just a little chocolate to make our last present. I know
Sherry might be one.
Director Williams is here to discuss the transportation waiver for our Duluth Head Start. And so in a moment, you can go through that.
You stay.
Yeah, I am.
A little energy break. Thank you so much.
It's not even, we don't usually have M&Ms, but this is what I
I know, I
had.
had to lean over to Chair Lowell and say, bring out the chocolate now.
This will become a standard, just like I can't go anywhere in the speech debate world without M&Ms because they just, I mean, that's been like a 30 years, you know, kind of.
It's part of your brand.
I guess.
Director Williams, the floor is yours.
Oh, great. Well, I'm bringing a revised transportation waiver to you. I've already presented much of this, and so the one point that is different on this waiver is that unfamiliar designated adults must present an ID to the bus driver who's picking up a child from the bus. So we are working on procedures with the transportation department to make sure that those are in place starting next year. So, and people are feeling positive and optimistic that that is a realistic expectation. And so, thank you to Member Sanholm for pointing that out, and to Terry for helping me see that that is indeed a possibility for us for district to do. So, Terry Williams.
Who's done some consulting with us, and she helped out in HR for quite a while, but she had also been transportation director in HR and had been Head Start in Green Bay, so she kind of had 3 hats that helped.
All the systems, right? So, yeah, so it was great. So, this is what I'm bringing to you, and I will leave the copy to be signed, hoping that you approve it at the school board meeting. We'll submit it a little bit later than the rest of the grant documents. So.
Any questions? It's pretty straightforward. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
I want to make sure we don't have one last item here. And we don't.
We don't.
So that does conclude our agenda for today.
Thank you. Thanks for such a an interesting and necessary and just really makes you slate agenda for tonight. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and just seeing that obviously we have a lot of topics with teacher learning equity related, and so it just shows examples of all the hard work that the team is focused on. So I want to thank our teacher learning equity team and all the presenters today. Simone also presented on the operations side, so we thank you for your presentation. But again, it just goes back to demonstrate that we, as a district, we really are focused on improving outcomes for kids. There are a lot of programs that we are focused on to make programmatic improvements. Our elementary schedule, again, we believe it's the right thing to do. We believe it's going to be more engaging for kids. It's going to provide more music and art opportunities for those students. We believe it's going to work for our teachers, and so we're really excited about that. Check and Connect, again, great program, providing some mentoring for students. All these things, as you know, some of them are funded by grants. And so as a district, we are really diving deep into our budgets, trying to figure out how do we sustain these things ongoing. Because collectively, there are a couple $1 million of additional spending that we don't have currently funding for on a consistent basis. So we as a district really have to wrestle with how do we fund these things moving forward and making some right choices or the right decisions to properly fund things that are going to really move the needle for our kids. And I'm excited about all these efforts because I believe they're going to lead to improved graduation rates. I believe they're going to lead to decreased disproportionality in our district with regards to suspensions, attendance, and so forth. So we really are working hard, and I want to thank the entire team for all their work. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the leadership that you've done with the committee of the whole in your time here too. I really think we've really figured out what we need at this meeting, and it's really important. That being said too, I know that Assistant Superintendent Bonds and now with Shannon here as well, they are always listening for your questions or your needs for what might be on a committee of the whole agenda as well. So, Assistant Superintendent is always willing to listen to us and what we might think we need at our committee of the whole meeting. You just forward that, and it might not happen the next month. He might have other needs to put on, but he's always also open for any of our suggestions as to what we might want a presentation on here. And I think I've kind of asked Patty Paquette to put the COW agenda setting meeting that's held on our weekly schedule, so you know that it's coming up in case there is something you want to funnel to either myself or to, more importantly, to Assistant Superintendent Bonds.
Thank you.
I too would like to say, sorry, not that we're just going around the back lights, but I don't thank Assistant Superintendent Bonds enough for the work he does to lead his team. All of our teammates are working very, very hard. Sometimes I think near the breaking point sometimes because we're like, work harder, work faster, let's go. Trying to get as much done as possible. And Mr. Bonds has really helped shape that teaching and learning team with the support of great team members to deliver a lot of wonderful products. And I think that we are, as Mr. Bonds said, we're continuing to make very significant progress. Our graduation rates, as you know, went up pretty significantly compared to the state average, and we have every intention of making sure that they continue to increase. And thanks to the board for the great decision making you're making.
I have one more. Sorry. But I actually want to, I was sitting here throughout the presentations. Again, thank you. Great. I love these kinds of presentations. It's, I think, one of the things that keeps me going as a school board member is just not hearing just successes, but just hearing our staff present to us and really learning what they're doing. So I was just really thinking about, boy, how do we get this out to the public? How do we, and so I do a thank you to Adele for the many ways she does work to get the work of our district out to the public, and happen to have somebody else out in the audience here. There's so many great things going on in our Duluth public schools, and I just wish more people could share it, and I appreciate the work that Adele does to get our message out in so many ways. So, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, that concludes our agenda.
People who might have written it good remarks about improved rates at the beginning.